Hey everybody, this is Kimberly, and we're talking about immune health. And I'm just always looking for things to be able to make a good diet for me and my family. And sometimes I struggle. It's not like I don't go out for eat periodically, or I don't love to get a Culver's burger every once in a while. It happens, and it's just important to be able to have a balance in our life and in our diets. But I always tell people, and we've discussed this before in another video. I did one when I was at a grocery store. The importance is the foods that you choose. The goal is to find as many whole foods as possible and to eat them in their whole state. You can eat them raw if you want, or you can steam them. I also encourage you to start learning a little bit more about herbs and the herbs with cooking. You know, here in Minnesota, our herbs of choice are maybe a little onion, a little garlic, and salt and pepper. And that's kind of all we do. That's all we're ever taught as kids or exposed to as kids. But if you look at other cultures, they use a lot of different kinds of herbs. So I encourage people to start smelling herbs and using them. And prior to COVID and the lockdown, we used to be able to go into Whole Foods or some of the grocery stores that carried some of the natural herbs as culinary herbs, and they'd have them in these big bins and these big tops, and you could open them up and smell them. They're not allowing that anymore. So now it's like, well, how are we getting exposed to herbs? So one thing that I really like is I have a grocery store by me that has the bulk herbs, but they're in little packages with like a little plastic pack, and they take a cardboard thing and they put it over the top, and it's like just $1 to $2, maybe $3 for an herb. So I encourage you to look at some of the herbs and think about maybe some smoked paprika, some turmeric, adding in some sage and oregano and basil and thyme, and getting some of those dried, just getting a small amount of them, and as you open them up and kind of smell them, it kind of goes, based on smells, would I want to add that to my eggs? Would I add that to a steak? Would I add that to my chicken? You can even look in, find online. A lot of times if I want to find a really good recipe, I'll do best, the one I just did recently, I did a wild rice recipe. So I did best chicken wild rice soup recipe. Came across 4 of them that had really good reviews. That's how I tend to pick a lot of my recipes that I make. And I look for those reviews. And then I look at what's in that for spices, and I'll learn how to use those spices in other things as well. But then sometimes I'll even go down and look at the reviews that people have given, and I'll get other ideas. People say, well, no, I didn't use as much cream in it, or I didn't use, for those that have cream sensitivities, my husband has his cream sensitivity, so I will keep the cream out. It doesn't affect the flavor at all. And it turned out fabulous. So that's getting cold. We always love a good soup recipe, so I'm always looking for some good soups. And one of them here, at least in Minnesota, is we love wild rice soup, chicken wild rice soup, because wild rice is a native here in our state. So we have more of abundance here, and it's just great and chewy. If you haven't tried it, I recommend you try it because it is very good. But again, when we go into a grocery store, it's important to stay on the outside of that grocery store. When we enter into the center of it, that's where you can get the processed foods. And you want less processed foods and more whole foods. But many times I have people say, well, God, I walked out on the outside and I've been in the produce areas, but I don't know what to do with those fruits and vegetables. I recommend that you just start with 1 or 2 vegetables. Again, I think I've shared in a past video, I wasn't raised on fruits and vegetables. I was raised on meat and potatoes. And I had to teach myself how to like vegetables. And I didn't like them. I remember one time telling my husband I would not waste my caloric intake on a salad. That was many years ago. And believe it or not, I love a salad today. But at that point, I never thought I would like it. So I've learned to add different things to my salads. I love balsamic vinegars. I don't know if your area, if you have an olive oil shop, but usually those olive oil shops, those specialty shops, have different types of olive oils you can taste, as well as different balsamic vinegars, which are really fun to taste. You can taste them before you even buy them. And I really recommend that. And I have learned to love balsamic vinegars and different kinds of olive oils. In fact, I just bought a cucumber lime olive oil that you add a little dollop to your water, and it's so good. Who would have ever thought about adding that to your water? I had no idea, but I love it. Or even to put balsamic vinegar on strawberries is really good too. Things that you wouldn't think. I now add balsamic vinegar to my eggs in the morning, and it's fantastic. Again, something I never would have thought, but it's something out of the norm, but it tastes fabulous. I always say start small so that you don't overwhelm your palate with something new, but it's always fun. It's in a previous video too, I think we'll add in the chopper, but using that chopper that allows you to slam down the top and pre-chop your vegetables, the goal is to make it simple and easy. You know, a lot of times just finding all these things online through Facebook, it makes it really easy to make meals, bring everything to your house, but it's still expensive. So I tend to buy my fresh vegetables in a bag that are already pre-cut for me, like all the heads of the florets of the broccoli and the cauliflower and the Brussels sprouts. I buy them already pre-done for me. I wash them up. and I'll roast the Brussels sprouts with different types of herbs and spices. And I'll take my asparagus and I will shake them in a bag with some olive oil in it, add a little bit of fresh garlic, and then I sprinkle some Parmesan over it, put it in for 375 for like 8 minutes, because I don't like my asparagus to be like, gooey. I don't like it to be a mush ball in my mouth, nor my broccoli. I like it to have a little bit of turgor and a little bit of crunch still to it. So depending upon how long you bake things or steam things, it'll depend upon how much crunch you have left. But I really recommend you try to grab one of those choppers, because it makes it really easy to slice up and dice up a bunch of vegetables really quickly. And then pre-making like your carb. If you pick a quinoa, a couscous, a wild rice, a brown rice, or a white rice. The white rice tends not to have as much nutritional value in it because it's been bleached. But the quinoa, couscous, wild rice, and brown rice have more nutritional value in them. Quinoa and couscous do not have a lot of flavor to them. And if you've not tried them, I recommend that you use like a bone broth or a broth of some sort, chicken or beef broth, to give it some flavoring. And then add in some fresh veggies with it, or there's even times I'll grab some fresh herbs. I have some sage I grow in my garden, and I never thought I'd be a person who grew herbs either, but with time I'll share with you on how to grow herbs really easily. I'm amazed at what I can grow outside. I'm terrible with plants inside, but outside it's great. So again, we're just trying to increase our ability to grab more foods, new foods maybe to you. Walk into that produce section of the grocery store and just stand there. I always tell people, just stand and scan and look around and notice colors. And notice some things are fruits and some things are vegetables. Do you really want to get 2 vegetables to 1 fruit? A lot of times when we walk into an area that's kind of overwhelming to us, we're going to grab like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. We'll grab a bunch of fruits because we know those are sweet and our palates love those sweets. And you have to create a different type of palate taste when you have vegetables. So I really encourage you to get into the grocery store, stay on the outside edge, look for ways to make a more whole food diet for yourself so that you and your family can be healthy through this stressful time period. Thanks for watching, and down in the comments, tell us what you guys are doing and what you've tried, something new for yourselves. But I look forward to seeing those. Thanks for watching.